into some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror. I'm Ben and I'm joined here with Matt, and today, as we're officially in Christmas season, we're going to be reviewing the 1974 Black Christmas. We'll have a brief spoiler-free chat, and then I'll hit a spoiler warning to discuss the plot in a bit more detail, and then we'll give our personal ratings from 1 to 10. So yeah, this is directed by Bob Clark, someone I'm not too familiar with. I don't really know his work.
Oh, he's done some good ones.
Is he? I know he did like just a normal Christmas film, like a not
Christmas
horror.
Story, which I know is some people's absolute favourite Christmas film. I think it's possibly too. This is going to sound silly because loads of American films are Christmas films, but it's probably a bit too American-y for me.
Right.
Like it's maybe for people who identify with what their Christmases were like. In the US, I don't know. I just couldn't quite get into A Christmas Story. However, he did Porky's, which is awesome. So, like he was there at the beginning of the slasher boom. Some might say highly influential.
Yeah,
started it, and the sex comedy as well. So
yeah, that was something. That was something I wanted to talk about because I feel like people say like this all the time. I know we've been guilty for saying this too, but this movie could potentially be one of the movies that started the slasher subgenre. Because I feel like most people toss it up between either Psycho, which was in 60s, or Halloween, which is in late 70s. But this is like right in the middle. So
yeah, I think this is the prototype modern slasher. I think Halloween and a few of the films around there, but particularly Halloween, have a lot to thank Bob Clark for with this film. Obviously, I'm not like the world's biggest Halloween fan. It's probably going to make people go insane when I say I prefer this to Halloween, but it gets better every time I see it. I do love Halloween. I think it's a great film and I appreciate it more. But this is just I don't know what it is about this film. Well, I do. There's loads of great things about it. But like, to go back to what you were saying about Bob Clark, I think because a lot of filmmakers either were from Canada or use Canada to make films cheaply, like I think we talked about, what's the one in Canada where they're in the mine, the Manic Miner. My Bloody Valentine.
My Bloody Valentine, yeah.
Yeah, my mind went completely blank.
Yeah.
That they seem to make these films over there, and then people in Hollywood sort of go, "Oh, I'll do that."
Yeah.
Nobody will have seen that, and then just happens. I guess that over time, people have discovered or rediscovered these films. I mean, this film, I think, is loved, obviously to the point where it's had 2 sequels. Bob Clark passed away at 67. Well, he didn't pass away. He was in a car accident that he wasn't responsible for. And, his career was on the decline around that point as well, which is quite sad.
Right.
But A Christmas Story, Porky's, and Black Christmas couldn't be any more different, the 3 of them. But they're all pretty huge films in terms of popularity and have massive fan bases.
Right. Yeah, because I know you've spoken about this one quite a lot. I think last Christmas we planned to do it, but something happened and we ended up doing something else. But is this your go-to Christmas horror film? Is this like one of those seasonal ones? I know like some people have things they watch at specific times, like a lot of people like watching Halloween on Halloween. So is this something you like watching at Christmas? Do you like watching Black Christmas at Christmas?
Yeah, I do. I try and watch every Silent Night, Deadly Night, so all 5 of those. They're so wildly different and crazy and terrible in different ways. But this is actually like a good film. There's a difference here. This is like a Christmas horror that is good. There's other ones. There's Christmas Evil, which is very good. There's some terrible ones that I like to watch. Don't Open Till Christmas. I quite like Christmas horror. Generally, I think I watched one of the sequels of this. I can't remember which one.
Right.
It just didn't do it for me.
I'm very inexperienced when it comes to Christmas horrors. Like for me, like this is a first watch for me. I hadn't seen this since we went to do it for this podcast, but it's always been on my radar like to watch at Christmas. But I always end up either watching Gremlins or Krampus. Like those are like the 2 films I always go to.
I'd never seen Krampus until we watched it last year for the podcast. So like that's almost the opposite way around. I guess it's. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what it is because I mean Krampus isn't like it's got folk horror elements to it, obviously, and it's quite modern. But it didn't get me in the same way as I thought it would. But like Gremlins, I totally get. I think Gremlins is a great film any time of the year.
Yeah, Gremlins is definitely like my era. Like growing up in the 90s, it was always on TV come Christmas time.
Yeah.
Gremlins.
And it was in the 80s as well because it was so popular that as soon as it could get a premiere, it'd be a premiere on ITV and like people were excited to watch it. The figures, I remember getting a figure in the mid-80s, like getting a Spike figure from a car boot sale and just being blown away that I could find a Gremlins figure. I remember reading the Gremlins novel when you used to get novelization books with films or before you could get them on VHS or anything like that or rent them. The only way you could experience the film again was to read the tie-in book. So or book and tape. Some films have book and tapes. I can't remember if Gremlins had a book and tape. I know the Star Wars films did. So in terms of Christmas horror, I would say this is the best film. But if we're putting Gremlins in there, it runs it close.
Right.
Christmas Evil is one that a lot of people don't know much about, which I think is really good. It's a bad guy who basically has a nervous breakdown at Christmas and goes on a killing spree. And that's quite dark. Sounds dark, doesn't it? It is dark. That's a really good one.
Okay. I don't know much. Well, actually, well. Jack Frost. I remember that.
Oh, the Jack Frost, the Michael Keaton one.
No,
the stabby one.
Yeah, the horror version of that one.
Right. Okay, I've seen that a few times.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
I don't know what I think about that because, like, I'll watch it. I remember when I was a kid and in my teens, I remember Shannon Elizabeth being in it. That's all I remember. So I don't know really, like, if I can put anything up there with this. With you saying, but sometimes I don't really think of Gremlins as being a horror. Well,
yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's not really. It's more comedy.
But it did scare me as a kid. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, what is it? 15? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or maybe I was just too young to watch it. But the Silent Night, Deadly Night series, I think, are always good fun.
Right.
Don't Open Till Christmas is just sort of trash.
Yeah.
Slimy, grimy trash.
Well, there's a lot of new ones that are out, and I want to watch them. And I normally wait until the end, but I was going to say next episode I wanted to watch a new one that I want to watch another Christmas horror that I hadn't seen. And I don't know if you see this one. It came out 2 years ago, 2022. It's Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
Christmas, bloody Christmas.
I do recognise.
Sounds like something Alan Partridge would say.
Christmas, bloody Christmas. Yeah, it's about like a robotic Santa Claus in a toy shop that goes haywire and
so
goes on a
that's on my
rampant
watch
killing
list.
spree. Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was. But it is.
Yeah.
It's got Jonah Ray in it from Mystery Science Theatre. That's why I
Right.
must have liked it for that reason.
Who-
It's got a few
who's
people
that,
I
like-
know.
I only recognise the guy that's playing the Santa. I don't know
The
his
guy
name.
who's playing Santo used
Big
to
guy.
be in ER,
Is it that?
and Abraham Ben Ruby.
It was something he was in. I can't remember where it was from.
He's been in loads, that guy. He's been in tons, but he was the main porter guy in ER.
Oh, I know where I've seen him from. It's that comedy film with Seth Green in it. Without a Paddle.
Oh, okay, without
Yeah.
paddle, right?
He was in
I saw that at the cinema.
Yeah.
I can't remember one thing about it other than it was they were paddling in a boat.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen that. It's a good film. Yeah. Anyway, back to this one. I'm not sure how true this is, but apparently, like Bob Clark said in an interview that John Carpenter loved the film so much that he spoke about the idea of a sequel, and that turned out into being Halloween. I'm not 100% if that's factual or
no, but
like he wanted to do
can,
like he wanted to
see.
he wanted the sequel for this to be like a, I'm trying not to give any spoilers, but like a maniac who escaped from an asylum and went off, and that ended up blowing up into Halloween.
I think the one thing about this that I think possibly for me puts it above Halloween is the characterization in the film. Like the characters are all so interesting. The dialogue is better than, and obviously in Halloween there's more suspense and more like silence and music and possibly more violent. This one is more like you really learn about each of the characters. They each have a story. They're not fodder. They're like kind of, you learn a bit more. Like Barb is very different to Jess. And
True. Yeah.
you know, like whereas like in I think Halloween is good. The female characters are good. Obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis's character Laurie is good, but like for me in this, I don't know. I like Mrs. Mack. I like, you know, obviously you've got John Saxon in this as well.
Yeah.
But who's an absolute legend. But for me, I think what makes this really stand out is Margot Kidder.
Yeah.
Is so good in this. She says some pretty rewatching it. She says some pretty wild shit. Like, and she does some pretty terrible stuff. What they wouldn't have characters do these days, because it'd be like, oh, she's gonna, you know, that's problematic. And maybe they would. I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't. I hate that. Like, oh, cause of woke. Fuck that shit. Like, there's, like that's in like loads of films, and you can watch any film you want, and no one's stopping you watching a film, and no one's stopping you making a film.
Yeah.
Just, you know, yeah, I'm not having that. But like, it might be a bit of a jarring thing being sat in the cinema, hearing some of the things that Barb says about townies and some of the things that Barb does with little kids, like giving them booze. But she's funny and she's really charismatic in this.
Yeah.
This
No,
is
I
before
love
she
Margot
was Lois
Kidder.
Lane as well.
Yeah. And before Amityville Horror, which is one of my all-time favourites. I love
Yeah,
Amityville.
of course, yeah. This is 4 years before she's Lois Lane. And this is 5 years before she's Kathy Lutz.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I knew it was round about the same time.
Yeah. I mean, she was just like, obviously, I wonder if this is the closest character she's ever played to her own personality, because I know she was quite a wild character.
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't that long ago that she died, was it? I think it was.
No.
When was it? Oh,
2018.
2018.
Yeah. And she's, I think she's Canadian.
Right.
But like Olivia Hussey as well, who plays Jess.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm going to tell you something about this film. It's a bit. luckily my wife won't listen to this. So I didn't ask for any Christmas presents this year, but then I saw a friend of mine's wife has like a online clothes shop thing.
Right.
And this year she'd made a Christmas sweater that was exactly the same black and white Christmas sweater that Jess has at the beginning of Black Christmas.
Okay.
I don't know if you can remember what it looks
I
like.
can't remember what it looks
It's like it kind of looks like hands meeting in the middle, like white hands in the middle of it.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to Google this.
Anyway, it's super expensive, and I would never ask for anything really expensive. And I didn't kind of realize how. Yeah, if you type
Black Christmas.
if anyone types into Google Black Christmas sweater, you'll see.
Let me see. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I really wanted it. I was just like, I want to have that sweater. Just because I can wear it at Christmas. Nobody will know what it is and what it's from.
Okay.
But I'll know.
How much?
So it's all in terms of getting it from America and getting it here, it's like £100. I know. And that's just so not what I'm about when it comes to asking for presents. I'm like, don't get me anything. I like buying presents rather than getting presents. But I really like that sweater.
Jeez. Wow, £100.
I know.
That one.
That's the one.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah. It's the same style and everything. And it's funny because when I saw the sweater, I didn't realize it was a friend of mine's wife who made them over in America.
Right.
And I messaged him. I was like, "Is this your wife selling these?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I think I might buy one." But she's interested in it because she's so posh.
Okay. All right.
Like, isn't she like Jess Bradford is like a very posh
Jess.
character.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the woman.
I thought you were still talking about her.
My friend's wife. No, I don't know if she's posh. But
yeah, she British.
Yeah, she is. And Olivia Hussey, I looked on her because I thought, I wouldn't mind interviewing her. I looked on her webpage, which she still has, and she goes to conventions still, I believe. She was in Death in the Night. Well, last film that she did was in 2015, but she's in one called Just Another Day in Hollywood, which is in production, but I don't know how long that's been in production for. She was in a Star Wars video game in 2011. Other than that, she played Mother Teresa in 2003. She played Talia al Ghul in an episode of Batman Beyond. Awesome, great show. Quite a lot of voice acting. I guess posh people are in demand in America, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's why I've got her. No, she's in the Ice Cream Man, the horror Ice Cream Man with Clint Howard. She's a good one. She's in the TV series of It.
What, the upcoming one?
No, the one from 1990.
Oh, the old. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And she was Norma Bates in Psycho 4. I can't remember. I have seen Psycho 4, but I can't remember much about Norma Bates.
Blimey.
Sounds like a relative, or it's a big coincidence if she isn't.
Yeah. Oh, so she's had a decent career then.
Yeah. Straight after this, she was in a Agatha Christie, Cat and the Canary, which there's loads of versions of that, but yeah, I think it's Agatha Christie. So yeah, she's done really well. But she stands out because she sounds so different to everybody else.
Yeah, she does, yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, I mean, that's all I've really got. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I know we touched on this earlier about how this could potentially be like one of the ones that boomed the slasher genre. But I was going to say, if not the originator for the slashers, it could potentially be the one that started off the whole trope of call from inside the house.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's any films prior to this that did the whole call from inside the house, because I know When a Stranger Calls came out after, and obviously so did Scream.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think that was a few years after.
Right. Stranger Calls is... Did we do Stranger Calls?
No, we haven't done that one.
I felt like we have for some reason. But yeah, it's... That's one of those... that's a grower for me. I think every time I watch it, I like it a little bit more. When I first watched it, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
But over time, I've got to like it a bit more. And then this is When a Stranger Calls back as well, which is ridiculous. But I think I've only watched that as the riff tracks.
But that seems to be quite a trope, doesn't it, now?
Yeah, it's coming from inside the house.
Yep.
Yeah, the voice in this is insanely like off-putting and
Yep.
weird, and some of the stuff he says is naughty, but really naughty.
You could say that.
Yeah, but it's creepy. I find prank phone calls, weird phone call stuff. I find that very, very scary. I think I may have said this to you before. I had an experience with a horrible phone call when I was a kid, like a weird perverted phone call when I was off school ill, and it stayed with me.
Ooh.
It really, really, I hate that kind of shit. So like this does take me back there and makes it uncomfortable. Don't know whether it's as scary for anybody else who hasn't had that experience. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. No, I've never had that. It is weird though.
Yeah, his voice is just odd. The noises he makes.
Yeah, and yeah.
Feral.
Does he? That's the same guy. I did make a note somewhere. Oh yeah, Nick Mancuso. I think that's the guy.
I don't actually know who did the voice.
Well, I think it's the guy that's playing the character. Is it?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It might not be, but that's who I've got down on here. Nick Mancuso.
I honestly.
But he was doing
Nick
like
Mancuso, the Prowler / phone voice,
Right.
uncredited.
Uncredited. Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's I don't know him.
I think he
from anything.
does. Yeah, all the voices because they're very different. Like it does sound like there's a few different people making all these voices, but it's all him. And apparently, one of the ways he did like achieve to get those voices sounds like a lot of times he was like upside down, standing on his head.
Oh right. Oh okay.
Just to make himself sound a
I'm going
bit
to say someone
weirder.
was squeezing his balls or something.
Or that. I mean, it's possible. It's the 70s.
Can you do an impression of a guy from?
No. I was gonna see if I got a funny sound drop, but I ain't got anything like that.
Big juicy. No. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Oh, well, that is creepy. That is creepy, especially after me saying big juicy.
Oh dear. All right.
Hold
Should we get into this plot and talk about it?
Yeah, please.
Oh, right.
I don't want to talk about his voice anymore.
All right. I'll hit the spoilers.
Spoiler warning.
Okay, so this movie starts off in a sorority house, and we see like a POV of a guy breaking in and hiding up in the attic. And then the phone rings, but the girls discover it's an obscene phone call. The caller moans before like abruptly threatening to kill them. One of the girls, Claire, she gets upset and goes upstairs to pack her bags and leave, but she's attacked by the killer. Yeah, quite brutal. Good. I like this intro so far. It's good. Initial reaction so far, I definitely got those classic slasher vibes like Friday the 13th and Halloween, where you see things through their eyes, like moving around, watching people from a distance, and then they all of a sudden they make their move, they strike. It's very good. I like it. I like things like that.
Did you think it was actually like scary, spooky?
In parts, I found it more off-putting, and creepy rather than actual scary.
Yeah, I don't think spooky or scary, but definitely, off-putting, like weird.
Yeah. Especially the phone calls. That.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I know
I wasn't sure if that was just me, but yeah.
Yeah, because they do try and like have like small subtle bits of humour throughout, and mainly from like the house mum and what's her name? What's her name? Barb.
Mrs. Mack.
Barb.
Oh, Barb. Oh, Barb. Yeah. Barb. Margot Kidder's character.
Yeah, Margot Kidder.
Barb gets some incredible lines.
Yeah,
like...
those two, like the house mum and Barb, they're quite funny. They have like small little moments, like the house mum, she's like hiding bottles of booze like all around the house, just pulling them out of nowhere.
She's hilarious. She's so good.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like it. It's fun. It's fun, and then it all of a sudden it just takes you out of it with like the phone call. Like 1 minute it'll be quite warm and nice. Oh, it's Christmas. Oh, they're having fun, and then the phone rings, and then it just takes you out of that moment.
Yeah, you're right. There's a bit where the Santa, the Santa guy, the guy's dressed as Santa, he's like swearing and stuff, being like, and it's quite funny. But then it'll go to something else. Or the cop, like the sort of slightly unintelligent cop.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a lot of jokes with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then but it doesn't stop the tone of the film still being creepy and weird, because it feels more real, because they feel like they're proper students, or like proper. Well, I imagine students who go to places like that to actually be like.
Yeah, and also like John Saxon's character, I feel like he's more laid back in this film. Like he smiles more. Like I've only really known him from A Nightmare on Elm Street, and he plays the policeman in that too.
No, you're right. This is, I think, his most naturalistic performance. I've seen him in a lot of Italian giallos, and he's always quite stoic and in control and stuff. And in this, he's more of a human being.
Yeah. Because I know in A Nightmare on Elm Street, he's very serious. Like throughout the whole film, very serious. He's Nancy's dad. But in this one, like he's actually smiling and having fun, like in some parts.
Oh, where the Fellatio Road or whatever it's called. Yeah. They're all laughing at that. And what I always think is quite funny is like how, what sort of lack of, not necessarily respect, but they don't really seem to give a damn about the guy who's lost his daughter.
Yeah,
like everyone's like joking and laughing and having a great time. Well, you'd be in absolute bits if that was your kid, you know?
I know. Yeah, and he goes to the house and the dad's looking around, and like the house mum, whatever she's called, she's like trying to like disguise like the naked posters behind him.
Yeah, it's quite broad. She's quite broad, like comedically. She's really good in it though, but I do think it all fits together really well. It sounds like we're saying, oh, there's all these different pieces and they don't, but actually it works really well. If anything, it makes it feel more real, because it doesn't, like, it's how people actually are. Like when stuff's going on, everybody deals with things in different ways. Yeah.
It definitely does feel quite natural.
Exactly. Like I think she's called Phil, who's the kind of girl with the big glasses.
Yeah.
She plays Mrs. Mac, I believe, in one of the remakes, but I can't remember which one. But she's like quite an interesting character as well. She's got like allergies, and she gets a bit excited and over the top, and like all the characters are so well defined. They're not like, oh, I've seen this character before. This is the jock. Like you've got a guy who's like a piano player, and you've got there's like a real mix of people.
Definitely. So yeah, like the next day, Claire's dad arrives because she's failed to meet him, and then it becomes apparent that she's missing, so they call the police, and then everyone starts searching for her. Where Mrs. How do you say it? McHenry?
I think they just call her Mrs. Mac, don't they?
Mrs. Mac. Okay, all right, yeah. She finds the body in the attic, but the killer murders her with a crane hook. And we also get to know our main girl a little bit. Yeah, like Jess, she's pregnant, but she wants an abortion. But her boyfriend Peter, he's just having none of it, and he gets quite upset about it, storming out. And the obscene phone calls, they're still coming in. And Lieutenant Fuller, he puts a tap on the phone where the next call leads them to suspect it's Peter from the way he's acting. And let's be fair, like Peter, he's a bit of a douche, am I right?
Yeah, and I think like it's mad to think that this wouldn't seem out of place in a movie now.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is like just the same sort of conversations, particularly I think in America. It's still like a hot button topic, and I think there's plenty of men and who are in that situation who've probably behaved exactly like him.
Yeah.
Like recently.
Yeah.
So It's strange, really. It feels quite modern in that sense to be taking on these themes.
Mm-hmm.
But also, yeah, he doesn't help himself. He makes himself seem like he's definitely the person we're looking for. It doesn't help she's getting all stressed and anxious, like you said, and then the phone calls keep going because it just makes... Yeah, things always seem to happen at the worst time, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going out somewhere and you've dedicated the day to go out somewhere and do something, when you're driving there, guaranteed you'll get a phone call, and there'll be something that you really need to hear or something that you really need to do, and it stresses you out.
Yeah.
But if you were at home doing nothing, they wouldn't call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just find it funny, like the bit with Peter, where he's getting all upset when she tells her everything. When she tells him everything, and like, and his response was like, "Oh, how could you do this today on the day of my piano recital?"
Yeah, he's so.
Fuck your piano recital.
Like... I mean, she even explains it to him so well. She's like, "Well, when we met, we had these things that we wanted to do, and you had the things that you wanted to do, and I had the things that I wanted to do, and you still want to do the things you still want to do, and I still want to do the things that I still want to do." And he's just like, "Fuck that."
He's like, "What's your point?"
Yeah. He looks at her like she just makes no sense. She's explained it in the clearest, most sensitive way possible.
Yeah.
It's like, what a bitch.
Yeah. So yeah, we then see the killer, like he sneaks into Barb's room and he stabs her to death, and then when another girl finds her, she's also next on the murder list, and then another call comes in which they're able to trace, and it's coming from inside the house.
What's the dog doing?
What the dog doing?
Yeah, at that point, Jess should have GTFO'd. However, like, she decides to go upstairs to look for her friends, screaming all the while, and that's when you get that shot of the killer's eyes, like, staring through the crack of the door. That's a good shot. I like that shot.
Don't want anyone staring at my crack like that. People do that to me a lot. People just go, they don't actually have the sound effect, but
yeah, like she then like runs down to the basement to where like a suspicious looking Peter breaks through the window. So
a suspicious looking Peter.
He does, like he looks so suspicious.
I know, but it's just like, what kind of Peter have you got?
A suspicious looking one. So she does what, you know, I think most people would do, and kill him with a fire poker. Yeah.
Screw that guy.
And then,
I feel like every character that we come across now in a film should be who we don't trust should be a suspicious-looking Peter.
It was obviously an accident.
Name the film?
Accident. Scream.
No.
It was obviously an accident.
Scary movie?
No.
I've forgotten. I don't know.
It's the one that you get. Yeah, it's a film that you requested because I never saw it.
Basket Case.
Oh, I'm
Halloween
disappointed. Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, Sleepaway Camp. Does he say it was obviously an accident?
Yeah. Every time someone
That's what I
dies, it's.
It was obviously an accident.
Oh, okay, that's Mel. Yeah, I recognise his voice now. That's Mel, the camp counsellor, the sleazy one who, sleazy camp counsellor. Wow.
Yep.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, like the police, they figure that the case is closed, so they put Jess to bed and leave her. However, we see the attic door
Pat her on the head
close.
and walk off.
Yeah. Well, they sedate her first as well. They make sure that she's fully out.
Yeah.
And then, you see, the attic door close. I think you hear the voice still. And then the phone rings. Yeah, I don't know if I like that bit. I don't know. They seem so sure it's Peter when they just, leave her in the house sedated after all those murders that have just happened. It's like, oh, yeah, it was him. Must have been him. Case closed.
I wonder if they call... does he have a name, the guy that rings up that people... call him. Is it? They don't call him Billy.
Yeah,
It's not Billy.
I've read that it's Billy. I don't think it ever says it in the film, or maybe it's not credited, but it's known as Billy.
It's weird, isn't it? There's like so many Billies in horror films.
Oh yeah, Billy Loomis.
And Billy isn't the little thing from Saw called Billy?
Oh yeah, Billy. Yeah, Billy the puppet. Billy Madison.
Yeah. Billy Madison. Billie Eilish.
I read a theory that there's a phone call after every murder. I don't know if you've picked up on this. I might have to watch it again to see it. But I've read that the theory there's a phone call after every murder, and because Jess is left alone and sedated at the end, and then the phone rings, it's implied that she gets murdered too.
Yeah, I assume that she did.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah, I might have to watch it again to double check that fact, but that would be pretty good. Whether it was intentional or not.
I can't remember how many times I've watched it, but what I will say is I was halfway through watching it again earlier on, and I thought the same thing. That's how I remember it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, easy target. They bloody sedated her and just left her there. So.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Did no one think to check in the attic, like out of the whole time they're in the house? It was like, oh, we've searched this whole house except for the attic.
Yeah, you check every.
Especially since who's the first girl that died? Claire. Especially because he doesn't strangle her, does he? He suffocates her, doesn't he, with the bag?
Suffocates her, there's some great recent posters people have done of her face being suffocated, transposed into a Christmas tree. It's pretty amazing.
Oh wow!
The original poster, the white poster for it, I think is great. I had a look for it earlier on, but it was like £500 for an original one. Wow! So yeah, that's what I want for Christmas from you.
All I want for Christmas.
We'll see what Father Christmas brings.
Here's a suffocated poster. Yeah, let's jump into our ratings. I feel like you're going to rate this really high. So, do you want to go first? How many hidden whiskey bottles are you giving this out of 10?
That's just like me. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10.
Ooh, wow.
It's a 10. Yeah.
Jeez.
I've gone from it's got 10 out of 10. It's for me. It's a pretty much a perfect film. I could say maybe, like I say, there's a little bit at the end where you might think, oh, maybe it could have gone a slightly different way. But for me, the characters are great, the direction's great, the story's fantastic. It's ahead of its time. It's a lot more important in the history of film than people give it credit for. For example, Variety magazine did the top 100 horror films of all time, and it wasn't in.
Oh.
Which I was like, Are you joking? Are you? The cast's great. There's just enough stuff in there to make you feel a bit uncomfortable, in a similar way to like how Suspiria makes me feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
It's original, particularly for its time.
Yeah.
I like. It's obviously it's just a good film, but it's also a good Christmas film. And it's interesting as well that there's no like nude scenes or particularly like horniness in there, but yet it does come across as more realistic and more like the way they talk and some of the stuff they do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
It's very artfully made. And that's my reason for 10 out of 10. What about you?
Okay, all right. Well, I'm not giving it a 10 because I'm sorry, but it is a good movie. I did enjoy it. I don't think I connected with it as much as I thought I would. Maybe I was going in with too high of an expectation.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah. There was only a couple of little things that brought it down for me. That I think there might have been a little bit in the middle that slowed down a little bit, and the way it ends, like I just said, with the whole ending with her kind of like being left sedated, and yeah, I don't know. It felt a bit weird. The way that like they were just like, oh yeah, it was Peter, rather than actually doing a full investigation. But yeah, but yeah, on the other sides, I can't fault the acting. Like, especially the relationship between the girls on screen, it felt very genuine. I love Margot Kidder. Like, she's one of those women in horror I think about, because I really love the Amityville Horror. So I'm glad to see her doing a great job in something else around that time that was just as good.
She's different, isn't she, in this?
Yeah, completely.
Like, to go with what you were saying as well, like about, because you mentioned earlier on that you like the sort of the killer's POV as well.
Yeah.
The film I was thinking about that was before this that did this really well is one called Peeping Tom from 1960, which would be a good one for us to watch.
I've heard of that, yeah.
If we were going to watch Halloween, this, and other sort of key slashers, I think it'd be interesting for us to watch Peeping Tom at some point as well. It's a very good film.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'll put that on the list. Awesome. So yeah, with my rating, I think I'm going to give this a 7.5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I gave an extra mark for Margot Kidder. It would have been 9.
Okay, right. The last couple of episodes we've been doing news, so I've gone back to doing a game. So are you ready for this week's game?
Yeah, is it all about this film?
It's all about Christmas horror films.
Ooh, okay, I've seen some of those.
I want to play a game.
I spy with my little eye. No. So yeah, I've made like a mix of like Christmas themed horror quiz questions. So first up, easy.
I got a bit of stress. I fell off my chair when you said it was another quiz.
So first up is about this film. So in Black Christmas, what object is used to kill Barb while she is in bed?
Oh man, I've just talked about how much I love this film and I can't remember.
He grabs some kind of object from her nightstand when she's asleep in bed, or passed out in bed.
Is it thingy tongs, like hair tongs?
No. Oh man, you gave this 10 out of 10. You don't even know what she was killed with.
I can't remember. I literally just watched it like an hour ago as well.
It was a glass unicorn. Little figurine.
Oh, yes, of course. The glass, yes, little figurine. I remember now you told me.
Yeah. Okay, all right, you know this one. So, in which Christmas horror movie does a snowman come to life and kill people?
Jack Frost. Not the Michael Keaton one.
Not the Michael Keaton one.
But
completely
that will have confused
different
a
movie.
lot of people at the video shop when that
Yeah. What the fuck is this?
upset a lot of households.
According to European folklore, what is the name of the Christmas monster who abducts naughty children?
Is that the Krampus?
It is the Krampus. What other Christmas movie did Bob Clark direct as a much lighter holiday film?
A Christmas Story.
Woo!
Yeah,
You're on fire. What controversial horror film caused outrage for its depiction of a killer Santa Claus?
Silent Night, Deadly Night. Classic.
Okay, last one. In the film Gremlins, what are the 3 rules for keeping the Mogwai safe?
Okay, so don't feed them after midnight.
Yeah.
Don't expose them to water.
Yeah.
And don't expose them to sunlight? Bright light?
Bright light!
That's the same with me as well. Exactly the same. That's why I stink.
Cool, right, that was it. So, yeah, you got 5 out of 6. Very
That's not
good.
bad. Considering the one I got wrong was about the film I just watched.
Yep. The one you gave 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sneaky Pete.
I've already kind of done the wrap up because I said next episode we're going to do like a new one, 2022, Christmas, bloody Christmas.
Christmas. Bloody Christmas.
A
I'll have
robotic
to write-
Santa Claus goes on a rampant killing spree.
Well, I'm not holding out a lot of hope, but we'll see.
That's the spirit.
Yeah. It might be good. I'll give it a chance. I might really enjoy it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, unless you got anything else to add, I will see us out.
No. No, that's it. It's almost my birthday, the next one we record as well.
Ooh.
It's birthday special.
Well, I'll have to do an extra special quiz for that one then.
It'll have to make sure that that's a good film.
Yep. All right then, I'll see us out. So, if you've liked today's episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can find us on the socials, and that's where you can join in the chats and vote on the poll picks for what we cover. That's a wrap for today, so thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you in the next Christmas one.
Killer, Mommy. Killer.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick.